Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Mobile CSP tonight for the part 1 of the video task webinar. I'm Cassandra Beckworth, your data specialist, and tonight we have Sherry Lucarelli, Jen Rosato, and Deb Ramey joining us, and we're going to be discussing what the video task is, why you have to do it, and some common concerns and stresses around the video task. So the video task is only required for online and Immersion Week participants. If you participated in in-person sessions like week 1 and 4 at a particular site, that means you're a hybrid participant and you do not have to do the video task. You're welcome to stay on and learn about it, but this isn't going to be a research requirement for you. And this is part 1 of 2. At the end of this webinar, we'll announce when we're going to have the second piece. So the second piece about the video task will actually cover how do you submit your videos and respond to other people's pieces and clips. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to give everyone a chance to say hi to you really quick while I bring up the screen share.
Hi, I'll go next. I'm Sherry Lucarelli. As you know, I'm a co-PI on this project and faculty in the School of Education at the College of St. Scholastica. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Rosato from the College of St. Scholastica and am PI on the Mobile CSP project as well. Sherry, but come from the computer science department. So glad to see all of you here tonight.
And I'm Deb Ramey. I was one of you last year, and this year I am one of the master teachers. So hope we can help you out.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to go ahead and present now. So in the description of the video or the webinar, you should see an agenda and a link to the slides, and those were also sent out in your reminder. But here we are in the slides, and we've linked the agenda so everything connects, so you can easily find the resources. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to provide you guys with a quick reminder about academic year data requirements. So the PD goes by really quick, and sometimes as we get started, some things can kind of all compound on each other. You guys are starting your course, you're adding students, you're getting them settled in. So we just want to be that squeaky wheel, if you will, to remind you about your requirements. So if you haven't done so already, please distribute and collect your consent forms and make sure you upload those to the consent form folder. There is a consent forms page on the teacher resource website. You've probably seen several emails from us reminding you to do this. So if you have questions about where to locate those resources, don't be afraid to ask us. The second piece is update your student information spreadsheet. So once you have your class information, make sure that you put your students' names and information in that spreadsheet so you can get started collecting academic year data. So the third piece is issue your pre-survey before Unit 2. Currently, we've had 400 students already complete the pre-survey, so that's great news. We're right on track, but we just want to remind you guys to do that if you haven't done so already. It's very important that the students take that assessment before Unit 2, and that really is the only one that's time crunched. So your midterm and final are a little bit more flexible to align with your school calendar and how the school has those assessment periods laid out, but the pre-survey really needs to be done before Unit 2. The fourth piece is if you're participating in research with us, you need to be meeting with your master teacher monthly, and your master teacher should have shared that information with you. The fifth piece, and this is very important, is to look for monthly communications and newsletters from the Mobile CSP team. So we only really have 2 ways of communicating with the participants directly, and that's through your email and these webinars. So it's very important that you take the time to read those newsletters, you keep up to date on the email, and we typically send those the second Tuesday of every month. So you should look for that in the second week of the month and look for updates about Mobile CSP and reminder about requirements. And I just want to remind you guys that this is not replacing your master teacher monthly meeting. So just because you're here at this webinar does not mean that counts for meeting with your master teacher. You really need to be sure that you're keeping up to date on those emails and newsletters. We're going to provide you with information that's relevant to everyone. Maybe there's changes in the curriculum or the program, or due dates or important opportunities you need to know about. So please make sure you're reading those and reading them when they come through, and not letting them sit in your inbox for weeks at a time. And the last piece is complete your 2 video tasks. So in addition to the other data requirements, you're going to have to complete video tasks. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you have any questions about the academic year research requirements, be sure to reach out to your master teacher. They've been in your shoes before. They've done this. They should be familiar with how everything goes and what to expect. And they're a great resource if you have questions or concerns, or maybe you're not quite sure where to find something. We definitely understand that the academic year can be busy as you get started. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. And also don't be afraid to use the lovely teacher resource website. We've worked hard to include lots of resources on there for you guys. And there's a link here on the slide. The links have been shared several times in communications. So make sure you use that resource website. I am going to turn this over to Sherry in just one second here. I'm going to mute myself first.
Well, actually, Cassandra, you can keep a slide deck up. Thank you so much, Cassie, for all those wonderful reminders. I know as teachers, because we're still teaching too, and at the college, you got a lot going on, and it's hard to remember everything that's going on, even just with this project. But we really wanted to offer 2 types of information about the video task. So what we're doing this evening is sort of providing the rationale, the big ideas, trying to address some concerns that we know others have had in the past. And Deb has agreed to even help us with this year with the video task, and we'll provide some of our own personal experiences, which will be great, and we're glad that Deb is here with us. So what is the video task essentially? So it's providing a short video sample of yourself. And in some ways, a person could call this a virtual visit. It allows us to see others teaching. It allows us to look at our own self and our own not our ability, but to look at our own teaching and then reflect deeply on that practice. We are asking that people submit unedited, organic clips of themselves teaching. And we hope that we can capture you and perhaps your students. And then the next step of that is that you look at your own video, take some time to look at your own teaching, reflect on your teaching practice, and then you'll share it with your professional learning community. I want to share that the next part of this video project, in our next webinar, we're going to present the technical component about uploading, and we'll provide some tutorial information and things like that. So today, again, is just the big idea on that. But one thing we know from the research is that when people watch themselves teach, it's much more powerful than even getting feedback. Let's say if your principal comes in and they give you feedback, or maybe when you were a student teacher and people gave you feedback, there's actually really good evidence to suggest that it's much more powerful to watch yourself teaching and reflecting on your teaching, and that when you share that practice with others and watch them teaching, you create this community of practice. And there's just, it's not that anybody maybe is doing it right necessarily, but it really, and we have good evidence to show that it really causes us to think deeply about what we're teaching. We're very careful in that these videos, I want to emphasize that this is a research project. So your video is shared only with your learning community and with the project team, because we do, it also helps us know about what we need to do to improve our professional development for teachers going through this project. Ultimately, we are trying to curate some stronger samples, because as you know, there isn't a lot of of good examples of folks teaching computer science. In the scheme of things, it's a very new content area, not like math or English, where people have been teaching this for a very long time. Computer science is a new content area, and so by seeing others teach, by looking at ourselves teach, we're hoping to actually learn from each other about what are some really good ways to do things. And we see some amazing things already in the videos that we've been watching. I'm going to ask Cassie to go to the next slide. So I've talked a little bit about some of this, but I want to emphasize again that it's really to help you look at yourself, to learn from each other, to reflect deeply on and refine your own teaching. It does really help build community. We've seen, and maybe not for everybody, but many people say that this is a nice way to engage in a community practice. It is a research participant requirement. It is part of YEND. And if you're an online participant or an immersion week participant, then you're considered part of our research participant group, and we want you to do the videos. For most people who are teaching the curriculum year-long, there will be one due this fall, and we're going to give you all those dates, and there's one due in the spring. We have a handful of people who are teaching the curriculum in a different format, perhaps in a block schedule, and we'll work with you individually on what to do. But the majority of our people teach the curriculum year-long, and so our timeline works fairly well for them. On the next slide, I just thought I would address some of the common concerns, and I would guess stress points that we've heard from our former participants. Some people obviously want to know who's going to see my video. So we understand that you're trusting us with this, and we're going to be very careful about that. We have a privately protected Google Drive folder that has very limited access, and we would never share your video outside of, again, the research team or your professional learning community without your explicit permission. So last year we had a few videos that we thought showed some things we wanted to use as models. We went back to those teachers, we talked to those teachers, got another level of permission that allowed us to use their video. So an example there is we had some good examples of people engaging in what we call pair programming. And we had 3 different ways in which this was done, and we thought done very well. And so those teachers were notified, and they gave permission and let us use those examples. So we're trying to show good examples. We would never want to embarrass somebody or in any way. So we'll always be really clear with you if for some reason we see a video that we'd like to use. So who's going to see your video? Again, your professional learning community, your master teacher, and then the research team. We have a lot of people who say, you know, I'm just not comfortable being on camera, and I totally understand that. It's really hard, I think, at first to watch yourself or hear yourself. So one of the things we've asked people to do is to just get used to videoing yourself a lot. Just start doing it. Start videoing, maybe watch a little bit, maybe watch a minute with one eye open. Just do whatever it takes for you to get a little comfortable with that. Even, you know, where is the camera placed and so on. And then maybe you'll find 10 minutes you feel you want to share with the group. That's great. So I guess the best thing I can tell you about getting comfortable is just, you know, if you have an iPhone or something, having somebody come in and just film you occasionally. We have learned that the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with that. What if students are misbehaving? You know what? Any teacher in this project knows there's not one teacher here who's got a perfect classroom, and that's just part of teaching. And it could be that there's a couple students who are misbehaving. Nobody's going to judge you on that. We know that's part of the K-12 teaching world. That's just how it goes. And but you might. That's why you might want to capture a few videos because there might be one where you feel more comfortable sharing. There could be something going on in that classroom that particular day you're not comfortable sharing. So if you have a few examples you can share, you can maybe pick one. And what if your cohort's not constructive? Well, we're trying to work hard with our team so that, and to provide more guidance so that your other community members, at the end of the day, we want them to help support you and to reflect, first of all, on themselves as teachers. They're part of this too, but also then maybe look and provide some feedback for you. But one of the things we do want you to do is to ask for what are you trying to work on? What exactly would help you? So maybe somebody can see, you know, gee, Jen, you did this really well. You know, have you tried this maybe to strengthen that lesson? Or here's something I tried and it seemed to work. So far, we've had really positive responses with our professional learning community members. And the quality of the video in no way will impact your stipend. We hope, you know, we're not planning, obviously we would hope that you would submit a video where we can hear you and hear students if they're engaged in discussion. But things happen, so no, that won't impact your stipend at all. Again, we're looking for what's really happening in the classroom and a nice little segment there. And what I'd really love to do now is to turn it over to Deb, who can talk about her own experience. And she's actually somebody who's going to be helping us this year and providing some feedback. So you might see her in the comment section occasionally. So I'm going to turn that over to Deb unless Cassie has something she'd like to share. Otherwise.
I'm Deb, and I was in your shoes a year ago. So let me just share a little bit about video itself. Was not something else as well. I've done it before. I've national board certification, so I've had to critique it. And no, it was not something I was excited about doing. But it is, I got to view lots of videos rather than just my cohort. There's a lot. There's so much to be taken from other people, as well as analyzing yourself. So a couple for you and try to address strategies that I use to effectively film my video. I'm very fortunate in that I am very good friends. So I was able to have him send me students my class for me. I would just say, hey, I realize not everybody has that kind of situation, but you know, if you have a student who's perhaps not participating in the research project, you know, they might be able to do your video for you. It doesn't have to be, you don't need a big fancy camera. Use you know, phones now that take really good video. So it doesn't have to be, you know, a super professional setup to be seen. You want the kids hopefully to be seen and heard, and so that you can be heard, and that's the most important things to consider. One of the biggest challenges that I felt with choosing the filming was, what do I do? You know, I'm like many people, I'm, well, what do I do that's worthy, that's different, that's special enough to show other people? And lots of people feel like that. Know that what you do is most likely much better than you give yourself credit for. And again, they just want to see how things are being implemented, get different ideas. And it's really neat to get the feedback then from your colleagues. And I know I saw this when I did some national board mentoring as well. And I would say when we watched their videos, oh, hey, did you see how you managed those students there? And like, what did I do? Or how did I differentiate? Well, lots of you do it. Lots of us who've been teaching for a while do it naturally, and you don't realize that you're doing it. And so when somebody else points it out to you, that's really meaningful. So you can learn a lot. So choosing what to film was difficult, and timing. I taught on a block schedule, so I kind of ran out of time. We had a bunch of snow days when I was going to video, and then it was exams, and so I was in a real time crunch to do my second video. So make sure you plan ahead. From filming myself, again, I learned a lot about mannerisms. This is always interesting. Again, and then seeing how the students interact. Sometimes you can pick something out that you might have missed in the class, like, oh, hey, I need to watch these students' interactions. Oh, this was a really neat interaction. So things like that. I really enjoyed that. I really, really enjoy seeing what other people do and how they do it. And I've seen so many different ideas and activities and just things in classrooms. So watching other people's videos and then getting feedback from them, again, about your video is just super helpful. So I really did enjoy the task. I've really enjoyed being able to look at more videos, and so I'm really excited to see what videos you guys will give us this year. So I think that's about it.
Thank you so much, Deb, for sharing your experiences. So I think that we had just a little bit of an audio issue. So I just wanted to recap really quickly what Deb was talking about. So she said that she found it really interesting and she enjoyed seeing student interactions and what other teachers are doing and the practices that they're implementing in their videos. She thought was really helpful to view. So that's great feedback. You guys will be sharing these videos in your cohorts. So it's really cool to see some of the strategies that other people are doing and maybe things that you didn't think about how to handle an activity or a project.
Cassie, thanks for recapping, because Deb, I was struck with when you talked about, what do I tape that's unique or different, and by the way, I use the word tape. Most of us aren't using tape. That's right? It's digital, but that's really good too. So I want to reassure people not to stress too much over that. Like, just it's okay if it's not something you think is exactly stellar. You'd be amazed at how valuable just submitting something you're doing, maybe, like I said, video a few samples and submit that. But that was really great feedback, Deb.
I just want to say too, we often hear that teachers have some concerns about, well, what do I film, and I think, Deb, I love the language that you use. What's special enough to show other people? And what you share is just going to be great, and a lot of people are going to get great things out of it. And I think most teachers are pretty surprised about how much they really enjoy doing it once they get into it and learning about the different classrooms and things. So with that, I actually wanted to show you guys really quickly the teacher resource website and where you can find the resources for the video task. And then we're going to go into some reminders about the video task and answer any questions or concerns you had. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but when you are on the the resource website, you can go down to, there's an overview and an upload page, and we're going to be talking about this upload piece in part 2 of the webinar, but this overview quickly covers what the video task is, some terms.
Cassie, excuse me. I can't see your screen right now. I don't know if it's just me. I know that Cassie's sharing. Yeah.
I can see it. It's showing up in the live stream.
Oh, great. Sorry. Thank you.
So there's some terms that you can see. So we're going to share a pacing guide with you guys that goes over when the due dates for everything is. The first video task will not be due until late October, so you got a little bit of time to think about what you're going to do and how you're going to tackle this. But we have terms here, so if you receive an email from us and you're getting confused, so the video task refers to the whole portion of this project. And then we have an upload, whereas as Sherry was talking about in the beginning, which is actually filming yourself, and then a reflection piece, which is this interaction. If you scroll down, you can see the purposes of the video, and then here's some reminders about who can see your video, what will your video be used for. The video repository, Sherry talked about that a little bit, and that's for your video to be shared, we'll get your explicit permission. There's recording recommendations, some potential segments to record, classroom layout and camera placement, lots of tips and tricks for how to do that. And there's some outside videos to look at. So if you're struggling a little bit with where to get started or how to format your video or what to film, you can check out these different resources here. And the upload page, the information is here, but permissions have not been updated. So once that's done and once we share part 2, you'll be able to access and utilize this page. So that's where all your information is about the video task. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm going to go back to the slides here. And talk about some reminders for the video task. So most of your master teachers have completed the video task, so they're a great place to start if you're having concerns or questions or maybe some uncertainties about how to do stuff. The master teacher is a good place to start. And a lot of them probably felt probably felt similar to how you're feeling now. And they worked with a cohort last year, so they're going to be able to help you through this process and talk a little bit more about what they learned from it too. A reminder to not film students who did not complete your consent form or did not consent to participate. So if a student hasn't yet turned in their consent form, by the time that you're filming, make sure that you position that student in a place where they will not be on camera, or if the student completed the consent form but they did not give consent to participate, make sure you're not filming that student. And on the overview page where you saw the camera placements, there's tips and tricks for where to put your students so they will not be seen by the camera. And so if you have a huge population of students or a large population of students that do not have consent, then there's different places that you can put your camera to work around that. Another thing too is just be mindful about using students' names. Do not use last names in the videos. So first names are fine. If a student's in the background and they say something, you know, that's not something you can prevent, but try to be mindful about that. And if your video is selected and we get your permission to share it, we will work to edit those pieces out if anything comes out. So if a student comes in who didn't have consent, so there's different ways we can work around that. And it's not going to be, so if you have a student who did not have consent and they show up on camera, that's not going to be disqualification, if you will, for your video. But we just want to make sure that you're mindful of who you're filming. And a third part is make sure that you're interacting with one another in the video task website. So we will talk about the reflections and how to upload your video on part 2, but it's just really important that you're not just commenting on a video and walking away from it, that you take the time to come back and respond to teachers. And if they have a question about your comment, please just be mindful and go back and answer that. And this really is an opportunity for you to grow, and it doesn't really work if people are just saying stuff like, good job, and not elaborating further. And we actually have a response prompt that you'll use to guide your comments. And I just want to remind everyone too about the netiquette guidelines. So if you are being harmful or derogatory on any of the videos, your comment will be removed immediately, and you need those comments to get your meet your requirements. So if you're being really negative to people, that's not going to be tolerated, and we'll reach out to you and talk to you about that. And if someone is being harmful, maybe they're messaging you about your video and not posting it publicly, please let us know, because this is really an opportunity for people to grow, and we don't want anyone being negative or harmful to each other. So you're not focusing on the teacher or how they look or how they talk. You're going to be talking about their strategies and what they're doing and what they're teaching. And this has never been an issue in the past. All of our teachers, by the time the video task comes along, you guys know each other really well. This isn't just being shared with anyone. It's not open. So this has never been an issue with people being derogatory, but I just wanted to make sure that we said that so people are aware. And I think now we're going to turn it over to questions. Jen has been monitoring the chat, so we're getting a, I think we're going to go ahead.
Yeah, we've had a few questions that I've been able to answer because they were just quick, short ones as we went along. But if folks have other questions or you want to ask Deb personally about her experience and more tips and tricks there, feel free to post them in the comment section and we'll pass them along.
We're really good at using wait time.
Has it been 7 seconds?
I'm not sure. It always feels longer than, than you really think. I just want folks to know that, again, I want to thank you for being part of the project. And if you have questions, maybe you think of something later, start with your master teacher. If they can't answer it, we'll definitely answer that, and we'll have a part 2 to get to help a bit more on any of the technical difficulties and so on, and that's on the agenda like Cassie posted by October 1st.
I will say is that on the agenda there was one question that I'm not sure we addressed, or maybe I missed it. What if I am not allowed to film in the classroom? What should teachers do then if their principal or somebody else tells them that they're not allowed to film in their classroom?
Yeah, and that has happened rarely, and we will work with you to come up with an alternative. And so what we would like to do is, if that should occur, something happens, reach out to us and we'll come up with an alternative for you to do. In one case, we did a screen capture. We want to capture something about your teaching, but we'll come up with something and we'll work with you if you have that sort of unique situation. I think we had one person last year, maybe.
While we're waiting here for some questions to come in, I want to take a moment to talk to you guys about part 2 just really quick. So we will release that to you on October 1st. So we're going to pre-record that. It's not a meeting that you have to attend. It's going to be pre-recorded. We'll reach out to you. We'll release it. And you're going to need to watch that tutorial before you submit your video. We'll try to keep it short and sweet. And thank you guys for joining us on this webinar too. But do we have any questions coming in, Jen?
There was just one about what they should do if they had more students than tokens in their pre-survey, and I told them to email the research@mobilecsp.org email address, and you guys would get additional tokens issued for them.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, you guys should, all teachers who are participating in research, try to give us at least 24 hours to get your tokens to you. The turnaround time's often a lot shorter, but that's just what we ask for. So, yep. Thanks, Jen.
So we're a little past 6:30, and we certainly can stay on, but I know some of you are attending live, and I want to acknowledge that our half hour is over with you, and please feel free to have a wonderful evening and not feel rude that you have to leave. Thank you again for being here. If there's no more questions, I think we can conclude our session.
Thank you all for joining us, and we wish you a wonderful academic year, and we're really excited to see the videos that you're posting and what you come up with. So Thank you guys for joining us.
Special shout out to Deb for being our guest speaker today. Thank you, Deb. It was great hearing your perspective. Thank you.